But there is no part of this at any point in my head where Aaron Rodgers misses a date and then all of a sudden Mason Rudolph becomes a dude who has any advantage in any competition. I don't even see a competition being real between Mason Rudolph and Aaron Rodgers, which poses the second question here. We both agreed there's no leg up. That we both agreed that there's not going to be a competition. Aaron Rodgers could sign the day after training camp starts. He's still the starting quarterback come week 1 unless something drastic happens.
Yep.
When it comes to Aaron Rodgers, OTAs are next week. Mini camps 2 weeks after that one. We're getting close to the point of, okay, here are all these timelines that everybody's been laying out, myself included, and I still think it's a possibility. Like, a week is a long time in Aaron Rodgers' world. We are nowhere. He's going to take this thing down to the wire, probably let 1 or 2 or a couple OTA practices go by because, that's anticlimactic to show up the day before OTAs instead of 4 days into OTAs. But if he doesn't, if Aaron Rodgers isn't showing up till July, is it a problem for you? Like, does it hinder the Steelers at all to say he didn't get, it would be 6 practices, helmets and shorts with a bunch of guys, most of them aren't going to make the team? Like, does that bother you?
Yes. I have a fundamental issue with not showing up for OTAs unless you're in some sort of like contractual negotiation sort of situation and you're trying to find leverage. I aside from that, I really don't think there's a lot of excuses to not at least show up. So I have a fundamental issue with taking that approach as a teammate, as the new quarterback, the new starting quarterback, no less. I realize it's, a different situation. The Steelers have kind of been doing this since Roethlisberger retired anyway, so they're like always trying to figure out what to do with the QB situation. But nonetheless, I don't like the idea of him not showing up. And I will call reference to his first season with the Jets. He did show up at OTAs. So,
Yeah.
Holding out hope that maybe he chooses the anticlimactic route this year and just maybe shows up for OTAs. Doesn't have to like participate, get in the nitty gritty, be taking every snap, doing all this stuff. But I want to see the quarterback who's going to be QB1 with the team when OTAs start.
I agree. Like, it's that you. I think it's the message more than anything at this point for the Pittsburgh Steelers. People are looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers saying, this is not a serious team. These are not a contender. This is not a team that's going to go win the Super Bowl. This is a team that has done not enough this offseason to make you feel confident in them. There are a lot of questions about the head coach, screaming questions about the head coach, and if he's the guy for the job for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The ownership's under fire at this point. Omar Khan's job's getting called out at this point. The Pittsburgh Steelers overreacted to a wide receiver position and then messed up that overreaction by trading George Pickens and doing nothing to replace him, although we'll get to that here in a minute. You're looking at make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals. Choose from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. It's easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in the flavor with none of the fuss. I'm a big Factor guy. Been using Factor for a long time, to be very honest with you, because I'm super lazy. I tend to spend way too much money if I don't go with a pre-cooked meal. That's my issue. It's not I'm too lazy to cook. It's I will go spend $30 on lunch for zero reason whatsoever every single day. Factor makes that, way better for me, my budget, and definitely my gut. Get started at factormeals.com/allsteelerstalk 50 off and use code allsteelerstalk50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code all Steelers talk 50 off at factormeals.com/all Steelers talk 50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. Shout out to our boys over at Factor. The Steelers right now and saying, guys, you got to send a sign, because this is what it comes down to. Is the Steelers for the last couple of years have been trying desperately, no matter how many times Mike Tomlin goes to a podium on a Tuesday after a blowout loss where fans are chanting fire Tomlin or fire Canada or bench Kenny or whatever they were doing, and saying the fans should do this. We should be a better product for the fans.
Mm-hmm.
The noise is getting, there's nowhere else to turn. You know what I'm saying? That's where we're at. There's no more chants directed anywhere else but fire Tomlin. And when those chants start, that's when we've hit, the Steelers are at the point where they are backed into a corner. They're, and waiting for Rodgers and having Rodgers not show up by OTAs and minicamp and drawing this into the summer, the more pressure you're putting on yourselves for a 41-year-old to perform. Because I think that every milestone that the Steelers miss with Rodgers, the more they have to succeed in 2025. Because the louder the noise becomes if they don't. If Rodgers doesn't show up until July and shows up at training camp and misses OTAs and minicamp, and we go through this whole thing, and the Steelers start out poor, you want to know what everybody's going to be talking about? How Rodgers missed OTAs and minicamp and how he didn't have the full offseason to work with this team and learn the playbook, and that's why the Steelers are in a bad spot. If the Pittsburgh Steelers have an atrocious season but have waited until July to sign Aaron Rodgers and looked like a laughingstock and a fool throughout the entire offseason, because that's what they look like, let's be honest. Yeah. They are the biggest clowns in the NFL right now. If you have done that and then find yourself in July and then you struggle, I mean, you are at a place where most other teams don't survive this. Most other coaches don't survive this. And I have very strong, I think Mike Tomlin's a good coach. I also think that he may have lost his grip on how to do things with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He may not be the best candidate for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I still think he's a great coach. This is the place where, I was told one time throughout and I'm not going to say when, because I don't feel that I was told to tell anybody, but I was told at one point this offseason, I was told that Mike Tomlin was very firmly told, you're running out of chances at quarterback. You're Aaron Rodgers does not count as that chance, but you're running out of chances at quarterback. You can't, the next big shot that you take can't be a miss, because if it's a miss, the fans are already too loud. The noise is already ridiculous. This is on you. This is 3 strikes and you're out type of situation. It's the first time that I ever believed the Steelers actually took, I don't want to say moving on from Tomlin seriously, but it was the first time that in my head I went, oh, they understand the situation that they are in and that Tomlin has put them in. And Aaron doesn't count, but he can make it's going to look really, really bad and make the window of what the next quarterback does much more narrow. You don't get the gap year of a rookie quarterback if you draft him, if Aaron Rodgers stinks this season. You know what I'm saying? That goes away. This is you got to be great or you're not. And it's just the pressure builds. It's a snowball effect. And that's what I think. At this point, the Steelers are at a place where they've waited so long for Rodgers that the longer the snowball's moving, and you go 10-7, nobody's talking about it. You go 7-10, that snowball's ginormous going into the offseason where you have to hit on a quarterback and you have nowhere else to go.
Yeah. So, let me ask you a question real quick here, Noah. If the Steelers do, in fact, wait on Rodgers, he comes in regardless of the time. But let's say there is some sort of wait. Let's at least posit that he doesn't come to OTAs next week. He signs in July or something. He's the starting quarterback. The Steelers go 7-10 or 6-11. One of those losing seasons. Is there any chance that Tomlin's job is gone? Is there any chance that Tomlin's job is on the line in, in the summer of 2026, or because he signed that extension last year, is it just the start of the conversation?
It's just the start of the conversation. That's
Okay.
all it is. So one thing needs to be made very clear. The Steelers would never fire Mike Tomlin. That would never happen. They would mutually part ways at the end of an extension. That's what it would be. So he's got 3 years. They start this year. He's got 2 years after this one. So after that, they would move on. That's what it would be if that's what the case was. But it's not, they would never fire. Tomlin wouldn't get fired. Not after 20 seasons. You don't have 2 losing seasons and then it's like, oh, okay, there it is. It's over. You lost. But I do think that it makes this is the first year. Last year didn't count. Those talks got loud to a point where it had to be taken seriously. This is the season where this is the season that decides if it's real or not, that there isn't a next extension. This is what that season is for the Pittsburgh. That's what I believe, at least, is this is what that season is for the Steelers, is they have to, Tomlin decides essentially whether he locks in that next extension already or if he doesn't, because this is him. I mean, it's a heavy hand in Tomlin right now. Tomlin is the guy that I don't know the exact dynamic. What I do know is that there have been multiple times this offseason where Tomlin has wanted one thing, the Steelers have wanted a different thing. They've gone Tomlin's way. Some of them, they haven't gone Tomlin's way, but they would open the door for Tomlin to make that decision, and they didn't. Rodgers is one of them. Rodgers is a Tomlin guy. Tomlin is let's go win a Super Bowl right now. Rodgers gives you that opportunity. Again, it all comes down to how this season looks, but you could take it full circle here. It makes it inevitable that Aaron Rodgers will not will not have a competition with Mason Rudolph. And then at the end of that, it makes it so much more important that he shows up, if Rodgers shows up by next Thursday, there is no talk. There's none. It's over. What's the conversation to be had? Aaron Rodgers didn't show up before nothing. He showed up on time. I mean, right. He walked in the door the same day as TJ Watt. They just said, all right, what's up, guys? Good to see you. Great to meet you. I'm here for the first day of practice. That's what, he shows up by OTAs. There is no conversation to be had. We've just been dramatic for a couple of months. He doesn't. Conversation's there. And it's very, very loud. Very, very loud. Closing thoughts on this before we talk Chris Olave.
I just think that this truly is like the make or break year for Tomlin in terms of his evaluation of quarterbacks. I think especially if Rodgers is the choice to be brought in and he's QB1, if it doesn't pan out, I have very, very real doubts and criticisms of Mike Tomlin and his ability to evaluate a franchise quarterback.
I agree. Tough spot, especially I'm very high on Mike Tomlin, but I'm not.
Love Mike T.
Yeah, it's just, you got to win games and you got to have a quarterback. And right now the Steelers don't have either of those things.